just like it was months ago and it remains today. So many people here on this day. You could be in a lot of other places, and I know you have busy lives and other priorities in your lives, but the reason you're here today is because you love your country and you want to do something about the direction we're headed in. We're going to change the direction of this country. I haven't had the chance to eat anything yet, but maybe on the way out I'll have some time. But I'm really honored to be here. I want to thank Matt Cartwright for his leadership. You know, representing any district is a challenge, right? But especially at this time when you have one-party rule in Washington. One party ruling the House and the Senate and the White House right now. And Matt Cartwright has done so much good for this region, fighting against the tide, fighting for workers, fighting for higher wages, fighting for better health care, fighting for our families. And I just want to thank him for his public service. Let's give him a resounding vote in November. Before we start, let me just ask one question, maybe two questions. The first one is simple. Because we're in a county that has had a strong tradition for years of men and women serving our country. If you are a veteran, put your hand up. Thank you for your service. How many of you have had a member of your family, a sibling or a parent or a close relative serve in the military? Put your hand up. All right. Thank you. Thanks for those families. The next question is going to be a little more difficult to answer. You might have to think about it for a while, but it's a simple question. Are you ready to win in November? Yeah! I knew that would be an easy one. Let me just talk about some of the battles we have to fight. This is a big election for lots of reasons, but it's especially a big election because there's a lot at stake for a lot of people. Not just people in this room and in this community and in our Commonwealth and our country. But especially it's a big election for the middle class, those trying to get to the middle class, those people who are working and struggling to get to the middle class. It's also an important election for vulnerable Americans. And when I consider the power of the corporate right now, the corporate right runs the Congress now. They have total control of the House. They have total control of the United States Senate. They run the administration. Just look at what they tried to do last year, ripping away the protections of the Affordable Care Act and decimating Medicaid. That's what they tried to do last year. And I'll get back to Medicaid in a moment. But it was also clear that the hard right got their way in the tax bill. That big tax bill that gave away the store to very wealthy Americans and big corporations. And everyone here and everyone you know is going to pay that debt for years to come. Yeah. That big debt to big corporations. Almost $1.5 trillion in addition to, on top of, the money that the top 1% gets. You know, by the end of this tax bill, the top 1% is getting 83% of the benefits. The top 1%, 83% of the benefits. So, according to the Tax Policy Center, that means to be in the top 1%, you have to be making more than $730,000 a year. Put your hand up if you're making that much. Okay, nobody's here. But even if there was someone in the room who was making more than $730,000, I have to warn them, I'm going to insult them. They don't deserve a tax cut. They don't deserve a tax cut, especially of $51,000 per taxpayer. That's what they're getting in 2018. The top 1% on average, according to the December 18th tax policy report on page 3, I think it is. In that report, they show that the top 1% is getting an average tax cut of $51,000. They shouldn't be getting that tax cut when the middle class is getting a much lower percentage of tax cuts. We had an opportunity, not we really, the Republicans who run the House and Senate and have the White House had an opportunity to give the middle class the biggest tax cut we could ever give them. And they failed at doing that. They decided to give it away to big corporations and wealthy people. So we can't just complain about that. We have to make sure that the next time we have an opportunity to help the middle class with a tax cut, that Democrats like me and everyone in this room is going to fight to make sure the middle class gets a big tax cut, not a big tax cut for rich people. The way to do that, is win the election. That's what we're going to do. We're going to win the election. We're also going to win the election to stop Republicans from decimating the Medicaid program. The Medicaid program, when you combine the gains we made in the Affordable Care Act, both with the exchanges and on Medicaid expansion, guess how many people in Luzerne County got health care? It was more than 31,000 people. Just in Luzerne County. If you add in Lackawanna County, where I live, it's over 51,000 people got health care. Republicans in Washington think that was a bad result. They want to take that away. We are not going to let them do that. We're going to stop them from ripping away health care from our families. That's what we're going to do as Democrats. Now, if they want to work with us, like some Republicans did last year, and try to lower the cost of health care, we can work with them like we did. I've worked with a lot of Republicans on that. We had a great bill to stabilize the health insurance markets. But the president and his party pulled the rug out from under people in their own party who were working with us because they're not interested in stabilizing the markets. They're not interested in lowering costs. All they're interested in is ripping away protections like Medicaid that take care of our kids with disabilities, help our seniors get into nursing homes, and help our families in cities and small towns in rural areas.